So brands are spending, I mean, literally millions of dollars right now trying to build these proprietary community apps from scratch.
Oh, yeah, millions.
Millions. While arguably their absolute most powerful CRM tool is currently just being used to post like blurry photos of half-eaten dinners.
Right, or just complaining about the weather.
Exactly. I'm your host, and welcome to today's Deep Dive. We have an incredibly fascinating strategy to look at today.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited to get into this one because it's so counterintuitive.
It really is. So to set the stage for you listening, think about it for a second. When you open up your Instagram and you decide to post something strictly to your close friends list, what does that content actually look like?
If you're anything like the rest of us, it is a completely uncurated dumping ground.
Right. We're talking chaotic weekend photo dumps, minor rants about your commute, or, a joke that maybe 3 people in the world will actually understand.
Yeah, it is the ultimate throwaway setting. It really is the digital equivalent of wearing sweatpants around your house.
Sweatpants mode. I love that.
Because it's strictly for the people who already know you, who genuinely like you, and who just accept the mess. You aren't trying to impress anyone when you pat that little green ring. You are just existing.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because our deep dive today takes that exact assumption, that sweatpants mode casualness, and just completely flips it on its head.
It really does.
We are pulling from some absolutely fascinating material today that argues this overlooked feature, this little green ring just hiding in plain sight on Instagram, is actually one of the most high-impact, underrated tools in a modern brand's entire marketing stack.
Yeah, the core argument is that it's not a dumping ground at all. It is a highly effective micro-CRM. But using it requires a complete paradigm shift in how we think about digital marketing.
Because by treating close friends as a throwaway setting, people and brands are basically leaving massive amounts of real brand equity on the table.
Exactly. And what we are going to explore today is this concept from the sources called the cost of proximity.
The cost of proximity.
Right. The overarching philosophy here is that the cost of grabbing a consumer's attention in a crowded feed, well, that's constantly going up. But the cost of building proximity, actually treating your most important people like genuine insiders, that is still wildly underpriced.
And so that is the mission for our deep dive today. Whether you are building a brand yourself, maybe you work in marketing, or you are just fascinated by digital psychology, we are going to explore how turning off that broadcast mode and stepping into these semi-private social spaces can completely transform a relationship.
It's really the difference between standing on a stage in a crowded stadium with a megaphone versus inviting, say, 15 power players into a soundproof room for a private dinner.
100%. The megaphone gets you reach, sure, but the private dinner party, that gets you unfiltered truth. It gets you absolute loyalty.
And that is a crucial distinction because before we can even talk about the tactical execution of using the green ring, we have to look at why that megaphone approach is fundamentally failing to connect right now.
Right, because traditional brand building is struggling.
It really is. There is a massive blind spot in the traditional marketer's playbook. Brand builders are spending entire quarters just obsessing over metrics that simply do not move the needle the way they used to.
Oh, I see this constantly. Marketing teams are spending endless hours agonizing over, A/B testing email subject lines.
Trying to eke out a 0.1% lift.
Exactly. In an open rate that is already dismal, they're sitting in these endless strategy meetings debating whether or not they really need to be on TikTok, which, by the way, yes, you absolutely do need to be on TikTok.
You definitely do. And they're also just deep in the weeds analyzing community platform data. They're looking at tools like TYB, Try Your Best, to track loyalty points and reward programs.
And to be fair, those tools definitely have a place.
They do. They absolutely have a place. But while these teams are so distracted by all of these traditional, heavily manicured broadcast metrics, they are completely overlooking the most direct, frictionless connection they have.
Right, to the exact people who can actually alter the trajectory of their business.
Precisely. We are talking about creators, editors, brand partners, early investors, and, of course, their most fiercely engaged community members.
And the irony is, where are all those needle-moving people anyway? They aren't eagerly refreshing their inbox waiting for your corporate email newsletter.
No, they're already just idly sitting on Instagram.
Right. They're right there. They're scrolling while they wait for their morning coffee. But instead of communicating with them, brands are stuck in what the source calls broadcast mode.
Yeah, and the distinction between a brand talking at you versus a brand communicating with you is the core of this entire strategy.
Right.
Because most marketers are fundamentally trained to build brands in that broadcast mode. They use their official channels, their grid posts, their standard daily stories to just blast these highly polished, legally approved messages out into the void.
Hoping someone catches it.
Exactly. It's a one-way street. It's basically corporate theater.
Let me push back on this for a second, though, because if we are talking about modern brand building, I mean, the biggest trend right now is the concept of building in public.
Sure. Yeah.
We hear it constantly from founders and startups on X and LinkedIn. Isn't that supposed to be the ultimate transparency tool? Like, doesn't building in public solve this broadcast problem by showing the messy behind the scenes?
It's a really valid point, and building in public definitely has its place for generating top-of-funnel awareness.
Okay.
But building in public is still ultimately a broadcast. It is a performance of transparency.
The performance.
Yeah, because you are still standing in a massive, fully public plaza where absolutely everyone is watching, which means human nature being what it is, you are naturally going to filter yourself.
Right. You're not going to show the real mess.
Exactly. The real power doesn't lie in the totally public sphere. The real power is in activating semi-private spaces.
Why is that, though? What makes the semi-private space so much more powerful than the fully public one if the goal is, authenticity?
Well, if we connect this to the bigger picture of today's attention economy, consumers simply do not need more content from you.
They really don't.
Their feeds are infinitely scrolling, completely saturated with high-quality content. What they actually crave is closer proximity to the people building the brand.
They want that parasocial relationship.
Yes, exactly. They're craving a parasocial relationship. And you cannot build a genuine sense of intimate proximity in a room where a million people are shouting. You need a quieter room. You need a boundary.
You need the soundproof room for the dinner party.
Precisely.
Okay, so consumers want proximity. They want to feel like they are in the inner circle. But why use Instagram's close friends specifically?
Good question.
Like, if I'm a brand, why wouldn't I just move my VIPs to an entirely different platform that's actually designed for community building? A private forum, a Discord server, or, I don't know, a dedicated app that I completely own and control.
Friction. It all comes down to the path of least resistance. And this is really the first real superpower of the close friends feature. The lift to get your audience to engage is lower than low.
Because everyone is already there anyway.
Exactly. The entire industry is already hanging out on Instagram all day. If you try to force your most valuable time-starved contacts, say, a senior beauty editor at Vogue or a high-profile creator,
Right.
if you ask them to download a new app, create a new login, and remember to check a separate platform just for your brand, you will lose them instantly.
Yeah, nobody is doing that. Friction is the enemy of engagement.
But with the Close Friends feature, it is baked directly into the platform they are already idly scrolling through. You are catching them exactly where their attention already naturally is.
So the infrastructure is already there, it's completely free, and it's hiding in plain sight. But here is where it gets really interesting.
Oh, the psychology.
Yes. It's not just about the convenience of the platform. It's about the cognitive psychology of the interface itself. It is about what happens in the human brain when it sees that little green ring.
The visual cue is everything. The human brain is essentially this massive pattern recognition machine. Think about your own behavior when you are tapping through Instagram stories.
Just tapping away.
Right. You see the standard pink and orange rings over and over, pink ring, pink ring, pink ring. It induces this state of passive hypnosis. You are zombie scrolling.
Just completely zoned out.
Exactly. But then, suddenly, a bright green ring pops up.
It's a total jolt. It completely interrupts the visual pattern. When you see that green ring, it is literally telling your brain, you are in. You have been specifically selected.
Yes, it acts as a profound social signaler. It triggers our deep-seated tribal psychology regarding in-groups versus out-groups.
Oh, wow.
Because the perception is that they have been invited into an intentionally curated exclusive community, it triggers a massive behavioral shift. People do not passively consume a green ring story the way they do a normal story.
They actually slow down.
First, yeah, they open them differently. They actually stop their rapid-fire tapping and they watch more closely.
They pay attention because they feel like they are seeing something illicit, something not meant for the general public.
Yeah.
It spikes their dopamine before the video even starts playing.
Exactly. And furthermore, because of that psychological investment, they reply faster.
Right.
And they forward those stories more often. They engage with the content because the medium itself has validated their importance to the brand.
That is so true.
And this raises a really important distinction about how we actually define an audience in the digital age. A standard Instagram following of 100,000 people, that is an audience.
Okay.
But a curated close friends list of 50 people, that doesn't behave like an audience at all. It behaves like a group chat with leverage.
A group chat with leverage. I love that phrasing so much. It captures exactly how dynamic and reactive that space becomes.
It's powerful.
It's not a billboard, right? It's a living, breathing conversation with the exact people who actually dictate the trends in your industry. So knowing that this green ring creates this incredibly high leverage group chat, how does a brand practically execute this?
Right. The execution is key.
Because it sounds amazing in theory, but I can easily see this turning back into a chaotic feed of blurry dinners if it isn't managed correctly.
Oh, absolutely. But there is a very clear, actionable blueprint for this in the source material. Think of it as the Friday afternoon project.
Okay, walk me through the Friday afternoon project. How are we building this?
The recommendation is to literally block out a few hours on a Friday afternoon, grab a coffee, and sit down to manually handpick your list. You are building a highly curated Rolodex.
Okay.
Now, if you're listening to this and you run social media for a startup, your immediate instinct is probably to take every single one of your email subscribers and just dump them into this list.
Obviously, more is better. Right.
Resist that urge.
Because you cannot scale the dinner party.
Exactly. You are being surgical about who makes the cut. You want creators, industry insiders, tastemakers, founders, editors, and maybe your earliest, most vocal investors.
Let's ground this in a concrete example so we can really see the mechanics of it.
Okay.
Let's say I run a fast-growing indie skincare brand. We make niche sunscreens. Who am I putting on this list, and what exactly does this value exchange look like? Because obviously this isn't just charity. I need to give them something, and I need something in return.
That's a perfect example. So for your indie sunscreen brand, your Friday afternoon project results in a close friends list of maybe 60 people total.
Keep it tight.
Very tight. It includes, say, the beauty editor at Allure, a dozen micro-influencers who constantly rave about SPF online, a few of your seed investors, and your top 20 repeat customers.
Got it.
That is your brain trust. Now, what do you give them? You lift the curtain. You give them access and insight that absolutely no one else can see.
So instead of posting those highly polished marketing graphics, what am I actually posting to the green ring?
You are posting the messy middle. You give them first dibs at opportunities and genuine co-creation.
What does that look like?
Well, imagine you are developing a new tinted sunscreen. Instead of spending 6 months and $50,000 on a traditional market research agency, you take a quick, unedited video of 2 different prototype packaging colors on your desk.
Okay.
Say a matte yellow bottle and a glossy orange bottle. You post it to your close friends with a really simple poll. We are torn. Which one feels more summer?
That is brilliant, because you aren't just doing rapid free market research. You are manufacturing emotional investment.
We really are.
Because when that beauty editor at Allure votes for the matte yellow, and then 3 months later, that exact matte yellow bottle lands on her desk for review, she remembers picking it.
Exactly. She feels a real sense of ownership over the product. She isn't just a journalist receiving a random PR package anymore. She feels like an advisor.
You've completely nailed the psychology of it. That vulnerability is precisely what builds the parasocial relationship we keep coming back to. And the brand gets invaluable returns from this.
Such as?
You get a clean, highly contained space to test out ideas before they go public. You can test product names, you can pre-seed new products to guarantee early momentum, and you can source high-quality user-generated content directly from the people who already love your brand.
Well, wait, how do you handle the risk here? Because there is a deep irony when you look at how the corporate world usually operates.
Oh, for sure.
Community is everyone's absolute favorite buzzword. Every brand wants a community. Every marketing deck in the world talks about building community.
Right.
But community is everyone's favorite word right up until it's time to actually ask people what they think and risk them telling you your idea is terrible.
Asking for real feedback is terrifying for a brand that is used to the safety of broadcast mode.
It is. It means relinquishing control. If you ask 1 million people for their opinion in a public Instagram comment section, you are going to get chaos, you're going to get trolls, and potential PR nightmares.
But this green ring strategy solves that fear entirely. It provides a moat.
Yes.
If you're going to ask for feedback, you don't want it from a random internet troll. You want it from the tastemakers and the superfans.
Exactly. The close friends feature gives you a safe, contained environment to actually be vulnerable and ask for that feedback without risking public backlash.
It completely de-risks the concepts of building in public.
It does, because you are building in semi-private. You get all the benefits of community collaboration, the loyalty, the insights, the early hype, without the exposure of a public plaza.
I just love the idea that you are taking a tool originally designed to hide your messy weekend from your boss,
Right.
and you're using it to bring your industry's most important players right into your boardroom.
Yeah.
It completely reframes the utility of the platform.
It really does. And if we pull back and look at the broader economic landscape of the internet right now, this brings us to the ultimate conclusion of why this strategy matters so much today.
The macro view.
Yes. The cost of attention is constantly going up. That is a fundamental reality of digital marketing that is not going to change.
No, it's only getting worse.
Paying for eyeballs, fighting the algorithm, optimizing those email subject lines to squeeze out another click, it is becoming exponentially more expensive and less effective every single day.
The era of cheap digital reach is pretty much over.
It is entirely over. But while the cost of attention is skyrocketing, the cost of proximity is still wildly underpriced.
The cost of proximity. I want to linger on that because that is the defining insight of this entire deep dive. Knowing exactly who your most important community members are, isolating them from the noise, and treating them like genuine insiders.
It's profound. Taking the time on a Friday afternoon to manually build that Rolodex, activating that green ring, asking them for their honest opinion on a messy prototype, it costs absolutely nothing but intention, yet the return on investment is staggering. And we need to be very clear on this final point.
Okay.
Using the close friends feature this way is not a cheap growth hack. It is not a gimmick that will stop working when the algorithm changes.
Because it relies on human psychology, not code.
Yeah.
It's actually incredibly simple. It's almost boring.
It is a simple, almost boring way to build the genuine back channel that most brands spend huge amounts of money trying and usually failing to fake.
Right.
It is raw, it is unpolished, and it is highly effective. If you treat that green ring like the tiny, high-intent CRM that it truly is, it has the potential to quietly become the single most effective brand marketing channel in your entire arsenal.
So what does this all mean for you as you navigate the digital world today?
Mm.
Whether you are running a brand or you are just a consumer trying to make sense of your feed, I want you to think about your own daily digital habits.
It's a great exercise.
When you are idly scrolling in that state of passive hypnosis, whose green rings do you immediately click on without hesitation? And more importantly, what does that automatic instinctual reflex tell you about who has truly earned your trust, your loyalty, and your undivided attention in a crowded digital world?